London is one of the richest cities in the world. Glass towers, global finance, money moving so fast it barely touches the ground. Yet the average person living here financially trapped, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, because London doesn't crush people, it squeezes them. Politely, with contactless payments, with subscriptions you forgot you signed up for, with rent that eats half your income, and still emails you like your friends. If you don't understand what you're up against, you don't escape London. You just learn how to survive inside it. My name is Prophet Prince. I didn't always see this clearly. I used to think the problem was effort, that if I just worked harder, saved a bit more, got one more raise, everything would eventually click. It didn't. What clicked for me was something else. My back. No, seriously. I was working a laboring job, lifted something so heavy it felt like I just tried to deadlift Mark Henry, and my back clicked. In that moment, I genuinely thought my life was over. That's when something else really clicked. Patterns. The same conversations on the tube, the same jokes about being broke, the same stress every month, just in different outfits, different people, same outcomes. London doesn't reward effort, it rewards positioning. And most people here never realize how badly positioned they actually are. Let's talk about why. Stat 1. 1 in 3 Londoners have less than £200 saved. Let that sit for a second. 1 in 3 people in one of the wealthiest cities on earth has less than £200 saved. Not invested, saved. That's not down bad. That's fragile. That's one unexpected email away from panic. A phone screen cracks. A parking fine lands. A landlord message that starts with, "Hi, hope you're well." And suddenly your stomach drops. When you live like this, your brain doesn't plan, it reacts. You don't think in years, you think in days. You don't ask, "Where is my life going?" You ask, "Can I make it to Friday without something going wrong?" That's not a money problem, that's a bandwidth problem. And people with no bandwidth don't escape systems, they cope inside them. Stat 2. 40 to 60% of income goes to rent. This one hurts because it feels unavoidable. Most Londoners spend almost half their income just to exist, before food, before travel, before life, just to stay inside. You can earn more and still feel broke because the city adjusts faster than you do. Pay rise, rent renewal follows. New job, longer commute, more coffees, more networking drinks you didn't budget for. You're not irresponsible, you're boxed in, and London convinces you this is normal. Everyone's struggling. That's just London. At least it's not boring. So you normalize pressure. You call stress ambition, you call exhaustion adulthood, and you quietly wonder why freedom feels like something other people stumble into. Stat 3. £1,400 average high interest debt. This is where the leash tightens. Credit cards, overdrafts, buy now, pay later. Small decisions, long shadows. High interest debt isn't accidental, it's convenient. It shows up when you're tired, stressed, or emotional. It whispers, "Just sort it later." Later always costs more. Debt doesn't just take money, it takes options. When you owe, you don't pause, you don't experiment, you don't ask uncomfortable questions about your job or your life. You keep going. Because stopping feels dangerous, and the person who can't stop can't change direction. Stat 4. £300 plus a month on subscriptions and takeaways. This one's almost funny because nobody thinks this is the problem. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, a gym membership you emotionally support but never visit, Deliveroo because you're tired, Uber because the tube feels like a social experiment today. Individually, nothing. Collectively, a silent assassin. London doesn't empty your account with one big mistake. It drains you through habits that never trigger pain. No guilt, no regret, no dramatic, "What have I done?" Just money quietly disappearing while you're distracted. That's the genius of it. If spending hurt immediately, people would stop. So the system made it painless. Stat 5. Most Londoners have no investing strategy, not even a bad one. Just nothing. Money comes in, money goes out. What's left sits still or doesn't exist at all. People say they'll look into it later. Later never comes because later is tired, later is busy. Later is after one more stressful week. A population that doesn't invest stays dependent. Dependent on wages, dependent on employers, dependent on systems that don't care whether they ever get ahead. If your money isn't working, you are. Every day, indefinitely. That's not ambition, that's obligation. Stat 6. 70% rely on one income, one job, one paycheck, one point of failure. In a city this volatile, that's not safety, that's exposure. One restructure, one manager change, one email that starts with, "Can we have a quick chat?" And suddenly your mind starts racing. People think multiple incomes are about flexing. They're not. They're about breathing. Because when income is diversified, fear loses leverage. You stop clinging, you stop panicking, you start choosing. Stat 7. Most people reach 65 with no real assets. This is the ending nobody likes to imagine. Decades of effort and very little ownership. Not because people didn't try, but because they followed a path that was never designed to lead anywhere else. They worked, they paid bills, they stayed busy. Time passed, and time doesn't negotiate. If you follow the average path, you get the average ending. That's not negativity, that's probability. Now here's the part most people miss. These stats aren't separate problems. They're connected. Low savings creates stress. Stress leads to convenience. Convenience leads to debt. Debt kills options. Lack of options keeps people dependent. It's a loop, and London is very good at keeping people inside it. This is where people get it wrong. They think escape requires more hustle, more hours, more grind, more burnout. It doesn't. It requires order. People who separate themselves don't do everything. They do a few things deliberately. They stop letting emergencies run their lives. They create breathing room. They let time work quietly in the background, slow, unexciting, relentless. They don't rely on one fragile stream. They build more than one door, not loudly, not recklessly, strategically. They don't announce moves. They prepare quietly. And when rare moments appear, the kind that don't come often, but change trajectories, they're ready. Most people miss those moments, not because they're incapable, but because all their resources are tied up surviving. Here's something uncomfortable. London rewards awareness, not effort. You can work incredibly hard and still go nowhere. You can be intelligent, motivated, disciplined, and still end up average, because effort without leverage is exhaustion. The city doesn't care how busy you are. It cares how you're positioned. London is powerful, but only for those who move intentionally. If you drift, it drains you. If you react, it controls you. If you understand the environment, you can step outside it. Not dramatically, quietly, because real separation doesn't announce itself. It looks boring from the outside. It looks slow until it isn't. If you're done playing defense with money, watch the next video. From £0 to £10,000 a month. The realistic escape the matrix game plan. That's where observation turns into movement, and movement creates freedom.